Welcome to Revenge Report. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let's dive in. They saw us before they heard us. Convoy of 3 black SUVs, windows tinted so dark you couldn't see a silhouette inside. Radios buzzing, tires crunching slow across the gravel lot. We rolled up to that rundown bus depot in Carbondale, Illinois, like a federal takedown was about to go down. Locals froze mid-sentence. A couple teenagers pulled out their phones before we even stopped moving. One guy in work boots dropped his coffee. The lead SUV braked hard, and I stepped out. Black blazer, no nonsense. ID clipped to my belt. Not military, not even close, but the kind of presence that makes people stand up straighter. One of the earpiece guys opened my door like this was the White House. It wasn't, but I wanted it to look like it was. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. A breeze kicked up as I scanned the parking lot. Empty bus lanes, rusted signposts, one flickering security camera. People stood around pretending not to stare. Even the lone town officer, mid-30s, buzz cut, still chewing his breakfast sandwich, just stood there blinking, like he was trying to figure out if this was a drug bust or a terrorist manhunt. It wasn't either. I adjusted my sleeve, nodded at my team, and started walking toward the bench under the overhang. Slow, deliberate steps. The SUVs stayed running, engines low and steady like growling dogs. I heard Jake behind me murmuring into his radio. Shaw is on foot, 30 feet from subject. It wasn't for theatrics. It was muscle memory. We trained like this. We moved like this. But this wasn't about optics. This wasn't about protocol or drills or crisis training. This was about my mom, about what I'd refused to let happen again, and about a little town full of bystanders finally learning what happens when you forget the wrong woman. 2 hours earlier, I was standing in front of a 12-foot screen, laser pointer in one hand, coffee in the other, walking a room full of suits through the worst-case wildfire logistics. 72 hours post-burn, we'll need field medics here, here, and here, I said, tapping red zones across Northern California. A couple of the FEMA guys were nodding. One of the NOAA liaisons was scribbling notes. This was my wheelhouse. Controlled chaos, moving pieces, timed responses. I lived for this part. No stuttering, no second guessing. It's where I earned every ounce of my paycheck. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it, like I always did when I was in front of a room, especially when there was a high chance it was family, probably some group text about Derek's birthday barbecue or someone's kid getting an award at school. It buzzed again, still ignored it. Finished my slide, pivoted to the next section. Relocation protocol, shelters, fuel reserves. But that third buzz had a different tone. Longer, slower. Image file. I tilted the mic away, took half a step back from the table, and slipped the phone out of my pocket just to clear the notification. Habit. I wasn't even planning to read it. Just swipe it away and move on. But then I saw it. One photo, one caption, and everything in my brain snapped sideways. Mom. Sitting on a metal bench under a busted light fixture, coat zipped up to her neck, hands folded in her lap, alone. Blank expression, like she wasn't sure if she'd been dropped off or abandoned. The caption read, LMAO. Derek forgot her again. That was it. No apology, no context. Just that smug little throwaway line like she was a meme. I stared at the screen. That coiled up rage in my chest didn't explode. It locked in. Cold, sharp, surgical. I didn't say anything. I just reached over, tapped one of my team leads on the shoulder, and said, "You've got the rest." Email me the recording. I didn't even wait for him to answer. I was already walking out. I moved fast down the hallway, fingers flying over my phone. Who sent it? Derek's wife, Courtney. Of course. Group chat with 2 of my cousins. No one else responded. Just silence. I texted Courtney directly. Where is she right now? She read it, didn't answer. I called. Straight to voicemail. That's when I knew. She wasn't just letting me know. She was showing me a trophy photo of their screw-up. Some cruel family in joke. Ha ha, look, the old lady got ditched again. Thing is, this wasn't new. This wasn't some freak mistake. This was a pattern, a long damn one. After Dad died, Derek made a show of stepping up. Said he'd take care of Mom since I lived too far. But every time it actually mattered, he disappeared. Eye surgery, left her sitting in recovery for 2 hours. Power outage in January. Forgot to bring the backup heater. Now this, not forgotten. Ignored. I stopped walking and stood there in the hallway. Concrete floors, overhead fluorescents humming. Everyone else passed by, not even noticing I was frozen mid-step. I stared at that photo again, zoomed in. Her eyes looked tired. Her purse was clutched so tight in her lap, it looked like a flotation device. Screw wildfire drills, screw FEMA projections. My mother was sitting in a busted-down bus depot like a stray dog, and no one in that damn town had done a thing. That's when it clicked. I wasn't going to call Derek. I wasn't going to text Courtney again. I was going to roll in with the exact level of force I used for National Crisis Ops. This time, it wasn't a drill. I didn't need a play-by-play to know how it happened. Derek probably promised to pick her up, swore he'd be there right after work. Probably said it in that half-distracted way of his, phone in one hand, golf channel on mute, nodding like he gave a damn. Then he forgot, again. Same as when she had cataract surgery 2 summers ago. I called her that evening to check in. She sounded groggy, confused, told me the nurse had wheeled her into the waiting area, but Derek was nowhere. He showed up nearly 90 minutes late. No explanation except some bull about traffic, in a town with 2 stoplights, or the winter after Dad died. Heating bills spiked. I sent her $300 without blinking. Derek said he was tight that month. Meanwhile, he was posting pictures of the new grill on his deck. Stainless steel, Bluetooth connected, voice activated crap. Every single time, it was the same story. Too busy, got distracted, thought someone else had it. But at reunions, he walked in like a war hero. Dad's old Ford restored, chrome buffed, parked out front like a trophy. Wife on his arm, kids in matching khakis. Church polished, all smiles. And me? I was always Emily from DC, the one without a husband, the one without kids, the one who does something with emergencies, but no one really knew what. Derek would make sure to ask real loud, "You still chasing that emergency fantasy, sis?" Then chuckle like it was a harmless joke. And Mom? She never said a word. She just smiled, that soft smile, folded napkins, passed the potatoes, made excuses for him even when no one asked. "I'm sure he just got caught up," she'd say. "He means well." But I saw it. I always saw it. The way she'd touch her necklace when he spoke too sharp. The way her eyes darted to the door whenever she told a story, like she was making sure no one was listening too closely. She let it slide, every time. And they took that as permission. They treated her patience like weakness, her silence like approval. But this time, this damn time, they turned her into a punchline. That photo, that caption. Not just forgotten, mocked. Like she wasn't a real person. Like she hadn't spent 40 years packing lunches, folding laundry, driving carpools, running that house while our dad worked himself into the ground. Like she hadn't held it all together when Dad got sick, when he couldn't remember names, when he screamed at her for putting the coffee pot in the wrong place. Derek was never around for that part. He was working late. He was coaching the team. He was taking the kids camping. I was the one she called crying. I was the one who sat with her in the kitchen after Dad passed and listened to her wonder out loud who she was supposed to be now. And I should have done something then. Should have said something louder. But I didn't. I played nice, stayed out of it, let her take the hits because she asked me to. But now, she was alone, cold, publicly humiliated. This wasn't neglect anymore. This was cruelty. And I was done. I didn't even have to close my eyes to picture it. Same damn dining room, same chipped oak table, same lopsided family photos on the wall. Derek's family front and center, wedding photos blown up like movie posters, his kids grinning in matching church clothes. And him, always at the head of the table, cigar in hand, legs spread like he owned the house. "Closed 3 deals last week," he'd say, puffing smoke like it was a fog machine. "That new condo complex? Mine. Full commission." His voice always filled the room. Not because it was loud, but because everyone leaned in like he was preaching scripture. Mom would be in the kitchen, of course, wearing that old green apron. Quiet, smiling, asking who wanted more rolls. Sometimes I'd catch her wiping her hands on a dish towel and watching us through the doorway, just standing there for a second like she didn't know where she belonged. I'd try to help. I always offered. She always waved me off. "You're a guest," she'd say, which was funny. I grew up in that house. But somehow I was the outsider now. Emily with the job in DC. Not Emily who helped care for Dad. Not Emily who paid for Mom's new roof. Just this vague, distant figure who does something with emergencies. And every time I open my mouth, Derek was ready with that same damn line. "Oh, here we go, still saving the world, sis." Grin. Sip of wine. Everyone chuckling like it was all in good fun. Nobody called him out. Not Courtney, not the cousins, not even Dad when he was alive. Dad used to sit at the far end, nursing a beer, nodding while Derek talked like he was proud of the noise. He never said much, just sat there like Derek had it all handled. The truth? Derek always needed a spotlight. He just didn't want to earn it. I knew the whole script by heart. Who'd talk first? Who'd pass the mashed potatoes? When the conversation would shift from Derek's vacation house in Lake Geneva to my unusual job with the federal government, they never asked what I actually did. They didn't care. They just needed a contrast. Derek the hero, me the sideshow. And Mom, she was just the waitress in her own story. That night, sitting in my office, staring at her photo on that cold bench, I saw the ending before it happened. She'd go home, apologize for the confusion, say Derek had probably been delayed. She'd cook dinner for herself, tell her neighbor she was fine, then sit in the recliner with the TV on mute, waiting for someone to call. And Derek? He'd make some smart-ass joke about traffic. He'd post another picture of his perfect family at Applebee's, tagging Mom like she'd been there. I wasn't letting that play out again. Not this time. I shut the office door behind me and locked it. No lights, just the dim glow of the monitor screensaver bouncing across the wall. I dropped into my chair, pulled up the photo again, and stared at it like it might blink or change. There she was. Still. My mother. On a bench in a half-dead bus station in a town that forgot her, still clutching that damn purse like it was the last thing tethering her to the planet. And suddenly, every ounce of protocol I ever learned meant jack. I didn't want to write a report. I didn't want to file a complaint. I wanted to move. So I did. I flipped open my secure laptop, pulled up my access credentials, and opened a draft for a Level 2 mock demo proposal. Operation title, Civic Shadow Senior Civilian Recovery Test. Objective: assess field readiness and visibility impact during a low-profile civilian extraction in a rural transit scenario. Translation? Get Mom, loud and clean. I had access to a rapid response unit. Retired military, contractors, all cleared, all on standby for unpredictable mobility ops. We used them to test urban disaster simulations, hostage transports, convoy drills. All I needed was the right framing. I kept it tight. Low-profile population area, neglected infrastructure, senior female subject with no communication, limited security presence, variable crowd reaction potential. It looked good. It read like a serious operational readiness drill, because technically it was. But that wasn't why I wrote it. I wasn't testing visibility. I was making a damn statement. I submitted the plan to my supervisor, Director Canfield. Late 50s, career federal, the kind of guy who could smell bullshit through 3 VPN layers. 10 minutes after sending it, my office phone rang. "Shaw," I answered. He didn't say hello, didn't clear his throat. Just went straight to, "You want to extract a civilian from a bus station in rural Illinois with a 10-man demo unit." "Correct," I said. Long pause. I could practically hear him squinting. "You're calling it a visibility and mobility test." "Correct." "Is this about something I need to know?" "Only if it doesn't work." Another pause. Then he said, "The team's already paid through Q4. Just don't cause a headline." Click. Green light. I exhaled once. Just once. Then started the dispatch file. Team Bravo, 6 operators, 1 lead, 2 support units for visibility, fully equipped but no live weapons, civilian clothing but standard motorcade SUV protocol. Mission window, 24 hours, objective, escort subject from depot to safe location. Maintain visibility to local population for observation. Collect behavioral data. I put in the call to Jake first. He'd been with me through hurricane drills and an active shooter test in Phoenix. Trustworthy. Fast. He picked up on the first ring. "Talk to me," he said. "I've got a mock-op." "What's the ask?" I didn't even blink. "Retrieve a forgotten mother before the wrong people get to her." There was silence, then a low laugh. "I'm in." Within the hour, the team was activated. The gear was standard. The comms were real. The camera feeds would run straight back to HQ like any other drill. But the mission wasn't about data. Not to me. This wasn't one of those distant tragedies we manage from 1,000 miles away. This was mine. This was about a woman who spent her life holding the damn line while everyone else played hero. And it was about time someone showed up for her like she actually mattered. The hangar doors were already open when I got there. Wind funneled through the concrete like we were prepping for an evacuation. Fluorescents flickered overhead. The guys moved like clockwork, loading up cases, checking body cams, radios, run flats, flash strobes. Every step had weight. Every move was muscle memory. This was the same team we'd used for wildfire simulations in California, flood evac drills in Missouri, one mass casualty exercise in Denver. They'd seen smoke, chaos, screaming. But today? Today felt different. Jake spotted me from across the floor. He was strapping on his tack belt, chewing a protein bar like it was just another Tuesday. He waved me over. "Rescuing forgotten moms now?" he asked, grinning like this was the best op he'd seen all year. "I'm in." I didn't smile, just nodded. She's not forgotten anymore. No one asked questions. They didn't need to. This wasn't Baghdad. We weren't breaching a hostile compound. But that tension, that readiness, it was still there. Maybe stronger. Because this wasn't abstract. This was someone's actual mother sitting on a bench with no one coming. Gear check hit green. Drivers in place. Routes uploaded to all vehicles. 3 SUVs, 1 backup unit, comms synced. No sirens, no uniforms. Just presence. Jake walked the lineup, tapping shoulders as he passed, voice low but firm. Civility, visibility, respect. We're not ghosts today. We're cameras. We moved. The SUVs rolled out in sequence, black, silent, heavy. Tires humming across tarmac as we pulled into formation. I slid into the lead vehicle and pulled on the headset. "Team Bravo is mobile," I said into the mic. "ETA to site, 80 minutes. The line crackled with confirmation. I looked out the window as we hit the highway. Trees blurred past. My fingers clenched around the edge of the seat. Every damn holiday, every family dinner, every smug little comment from Derek echoing in my head. Still saving the world? Must be lonely up there in DC. That job of yours even real? And me, sitting there, saying nothing, letting it ride, keeping the peace. Silence had always been easier. It kept Mom from worrying, kept the table calm. But silence doesn't protect people, it just buries them. This convoy, this team of professionals who'd once extracted embassy staff from a riot zone, was my answer. We weren't just going to pick up a woman. We were going to show every witness in that town what it looked like when the quiet one finally snapped. Jake's voice crackled in my headset. 10 minutes out. Local law shows 1 on-site officer, no activity. Copy, I said. I leaned forward, elbows on knees, eyes locked on the road ahead. This wasn't about ego. This wasn't about revenge. It was volume. Pure, deliberate, undeniable volume. And they were all going to hear it. The second the SUVs turned into the depot lot, heads snapped up. People froze like they were watching a damn movie. 3 blacked-out vehicles gliding in tight formation, tires slow on cracked pavement, radios crackling just loud enough to make the air feel different. I saw a woman holding a paper bag stop mid-step. A couple teenagers already had their phones out. Some guy in a flannel dropped his vape. We rolled up to the curb and stopped in sync. Doors popped open in sequence. Jake stepped out first, calm but alert. The rest of the team followed. Full protocol. Earpieces, comms checks, body cams recording. Visibility was the point. The deputy on site, early 30s, probably bored out of his mind 2 minutes earlier, stood up like someone had just pulled his spine straight. His mouth opened, then closed. He didn't even touch his belt. I stepped out last. Black blazer, boots crunching gravel, badge clipped to my hip. Eyes locked on one thing. There she was, sitting on a bench under a flickering light, coat zipped too tight around her neck like she was bracing for wind. Her purse was on her lap, both hands wrapped around it like it was a shield. She didn't even see us yet. She was looking down at her shoes, like she'd already accepted this was just another forgotten afternoon. I walked toward her, flanked by 2 of my guys. We moved like we were entering a foreign embassy, not a Midwest bus stop. No one spoke, no one moved, the town just watched. I stopped right in front of her. She finally looked up. Her eyes squinted, confused, then they widened. I bent slightly, lowered my voice, and said, "Mrs. Hayes, I'm Director Shaw. My team is here for you." She blinked like she didn't understand. Then her face changed. slowly, the way sunrise creeps in through closed blinds. Her mouth opened just a little. She looked at the men behind me, then back to me. Her voice cracked. Emily? I nodded. Yes, ma'am. She let out a short, shaky breath. You came? I held out my hand. Always. She didn't just take it, she clutched it. Jake leaned down beside me. Mrs. Hayes, we'll escort you safely to the vehicle. You're in good hands. No smile, no smirk. Just complete respect. Like she was a foreign diplomat. She stood slowly. Jake offered his arm. She took it. The rest of the team positioned themselves without a word, creating a protective flank. Every eye in that parking lot was locked on us now. No one dared speak. The deputy finally found his voice. What's going on here? I turned toward him, badge up, voice level. Federal Civilian Escort Exercise, officer. We're conducting a mobility and visibility drill for senior citizen evac scenarios. He blinked. You're evacuating her? She was left vulnerable. We're correcting it. He nodded slowly like he had no idea what to say, which was fine. I didn't need him to say anything. Mom was standing taller now. Her shoulders had lifted. Her grip on the purse had eased. She looked around at the crowd, then back at me. You really brought a team for this? I smiled just a little. No one leaves my mother on a bench. Jake opened the back passenger door like it was for a dignitary. She turned once, just a glance, like she needed to make sure it was real. Then she stepped into the SUV with grace I hadn't seen from her in years. Once she was seated, Jake shut the door gently. I turned toward the small crowd gathering near the curb. I made eye contact with one woman I recognized, an old neighbor, Cheryl something. She looked stunned, mouth parted like she was trying to process it. I didn't say a word, just let the moment speak. We loaded back into the convoy, radios humming to life. Bravo team, I said into my headset. Objective secure. Returning to base. The engines rumbled to life again, and as we pulled out of that depot, I didn't have to look back to know every single person was still staring. Not at me, at her. I was just reaching for the handle of the lead SUV when I heard the tires screech. A silver Ford truck came flying into the depot lot, cutting across the parking lines like a man with no plan. Driver's door flung open before the engine even died, and out stormed Derek, face beet red, hair flattened on one side like he'd just rolled out of bed. Emily, he barked, loud enough to cut through the entire scene. What the hell do you think you're doing? Phones came up instantly. People were already filming. He stormed toward us, boots slapping pavement, hands flailing like he was herding invisible cattle. This is insane. You're making a damn scene. Mom flinched just a little. Jake shifted closer to her without a word. I stepped forward, calm, cold. Didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. You had one job, Derek, I said. You failed. You're relieved. His eyes darted to the convoy, the team, the cameras, the crowd. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Tried again. Relieved of what, Emily? This isn't your... Exactly. He blinked. I stepped closer, inches from him now. It's never been my job, right? I was just the weirdo with the DC. Job, the loner, the backup plan. But you said you'd handle it. You promised. He scoffed. Tried to laugh it off. Oh, come on. She's fine. She always waits. She knows I get tied up. She was sitting alone on a metal bench, Derek, in the cold, again, with no coat thick enough and no clue if anyone was coming. She could have called me, he barked, louder now, reaching for desperation. Why does everything have to be a federal operation with you? Because unlike you, I said, I show up. Gasps from the crowd. Someone behind us whispered, Is that her daughter? Derek looked around for backup. Found none. Not even the deputy said a word. He was just standing off to the side now, hands on his belt, eyes fixed on Derek like he'd finally figured out who the problem was. Derek's voice cracked as he tried again. This is ridiculous. You're humiliating Mom, I pointed at her. Look at her. He hesitated. She's not humiliated. She's seen, and for once, she's not the one apologizing while you screw around. Mom was still standing near the SUV, watching us like she was scared to breathe, but she didn't look small anymore. Jake stepped closer to her, asked quietly, Would you like to sit down, ma'am? She nodded and got in. Derek saw it happen. his own mother choosing a stranger's arm over his presence, and that's when he started to unravel. Unbelievable, he muttered. You think this changes anything? You think parading in here with your little stunt makes you a hero? No, I said. It just makes you accountable. He looked like he wanted to scream, but the words got jammed in his throat. He turned to the crowd like someone might defend him. You all know me. This is just her, Emily, making a big deal out of nothing. You know how she is nothing. Not a nod, not a word. Phone still up. Cheryl, the old neighbor I'd spotted earlier, was recording from her car window. She wasn't even pretending to be subtle. He spun around one last time. I'm her son. I stared him down. So act like it. That was it. He froze, shoulders sagged, face pale now, like all the blood that powered his tantrum had drained out. He backed away without another word, climbed into his truck, and sat there with his hands on the wheel. Didn't start it, just sat. I turned without looking back. Jake opened my door. Ready, director? I nodded. Let's roll. 3 months later, Derek's name wasn't gold anymore. It was dirt. At the hardware store, people avoided him in the aisles. Clients pulled out of 2 listings, said they were reevaluating. But we all knew the reason. Someone posted the depot video on Facebook. Then it made local news. Then it hit Reddit. Local real estate agent forgets mother at bus station. Daughter arrives with federal convoy. It got shared. Over and over. The footage didn't lie. Derek, red-faced, shouting. Me, calm. Mom, quiet and dignified. Stepping into the SUV like she belonged on a state visit. Nobody laughed at his jokes anymore. Not even the forced ones. At church, people lined up to hug Mom. Not just shake her hand. Full arms around her body hugs. They offered to walk her to her seat. Saved her spots in the front row. The pastor called her an example of quiet grace. Someone nominated her for a senior volunteer award. She didn't even know what to say. She called me after the letter came in the mail, holding back tears. I haven't done anything special, she said. You stayed, I told her. That's more than enough. Family dinners shifted too. Same house, same table. But the energy was different. Derek showed up late to the first one after the depot. No truck rev, no loud entrance. He just walked in, eyes down, and sat near the end of the table. Didn't say much, didn't brag, didn't light a cigar. When someone asked about the housing market, he just shrugged. It's cooling off. Then silence. For the first time, people looked at me when the conversation turned serious. Emily, Aunt Trish said, passing me the green beans. What's it like managing real emergencies? Uncle Rob chimed in next. You ever get scared in those drills? Even the cousins leaned in, curious. Real questions, real interest. I told a story about a supply chain test we ran in Kansas, how we rerouted 200 families in 4 hours. No jokes, no eye rolls, just listening. Derek didn't say a word. He left before dessert. By the next gathering, no one even asked if he was coming. And Mom? She stayed seated this time. Didn't jump up to serve. When the casserole finished baking, someone else, Courtney actually, got up to pull it from the oven. Mom just smiled and passed the rolls. That quiet smile of hers? It hit different now. Not because she changed, but because everyone else finally caught up. People saw her. The shift wasn't loud, it didn't have a hashtag, but it stuck, and nobody, not even Derek, could take it back. A week after the dust settled, I walked through the motor pool back at HQ and saw it, a fresh white label stuck across the bumper of our lead SUV. Ms. Hayes' ride sharp, block letters, dead center. No joke font, no winks, just bold truth. Jake was leaning against the hood, holding 2 coffees. He handed me one without a word. She's ours now, he said. No grin, no sarcasm, just respect. I laughed once, quiet, the kind that catches in your throat a little. I took a sip, stared at the decal, and nodded. She was ours, not property, not a burden, not a side note. She was a damn priority. And not just because she was my mom, but because she'd been invisible to the wrong people for way too long. That day at the depot wasn't just about fixing what Derek broke. It wasn't even just about defending her. It was about showing her that silence didn't have to be the default, that loyalty didn't mean surrender. I didn't save the world. I didn't need to. I just made one arrogant man shut up and gave the woman who raised me back a little of the dignity they'd chipped away at for years. Every soft-spoken mom who gets left behind, talked over, laughed at, ignored, they're not weak. They're just waiting for someone to see them. That's what this was. Visibility, no press release, no medal. Just a team, a convoy, and a moment that changed everything without saying a single dramatic word. So yeah, if you've ever had to fight for someone you love, especially someone who wouldn't fight for themselves, tell me. Drop it in the comments, because your voice might help someone else find theirs. Final question plus CTA, 26 words. Have you ever had to step up when your family failed? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.